So I'm Leah, and this is my presentation, The Powerful Role of Personalized Music Listening and Performance in Triggering Music-Evoked Autobiographical Memories in Individuals with Alzheimer's Disease. Music is a powerful memory maker and retriever. Think about a song that you enjoy for a few moments. Does thinking of the song invoke any memories or emotions? Even if it's not a favorite song, even if I just pick a random song out of my brain, like I Got a Feeling by the Black Eyed Peas. I remember hearing my basketball coach playing this song during our practice in fifth grade, and I can almost smell the leathery basketball and hear the squeaky gym floor. What is even more interesting is that there's nothing formative or special about that event for me. Music is just that captivating. And neuroscience agrees. Through EEG imaging, one study found that during pleasurable music listening, there was increased synchronization between right temporal and right frontal lobes. Because those areas have been related to music recognition, and because memory retrieval and working memory in general are linked with frontal function, scientists have proposed that music and memory processes are linked and tightly intertwined. In addition, as music is a more abstract brain reward than, say, food or pain relievers, its complexity requires increased dopamine transition, which also results in increased memory. Thus, our brains are truly primed to remember music and to use music to remember. This is such a common phenomenon that in 2007, a group of neuroscientists coined the term memes, music-evoked autobiographical memories. No, not the funny pictures that your grandma shares with you in Facebook Messenger. Memes are music-evoked autobiographical memories. A recent study found that memes were experienced on average once per day, every day, 365 days a year. Furthermore, adults that were older rated these memories as more vivid and positive than any other population. This begs the question, if music is such a powerful memory evoker, can it be used to slow memory deterioration in people with Alzheimer's? In this presentation, I argue yes, interaction with music, especially familiar or well-liked songs, can enhance autobiographical memory, become an emblem of remembrance for individuals with Alzheimer's, and give them a rare chance to reflect, reminisce, and remember the meaningful yet simple events that have occurred in their life. In this presentation, I discuss and synthesize recent research in psychology, music therapy, and neuroscience. Then, as qualitative evidence, I present clips from sessions of group musical engagement with an individual with Alzheimer's and his care partner, which was the group that you saw on the first slide. Through this talk, I hope that care partners, scientists, and even the everyday person can recognize the impact that positive musical experiences can have on memory, especially in those with Alzheimer's. Before digging into the bulk of this presentation, I want to share a short clip from one of our early group sessions, which were conducted by myself, another music student, and a medical student. We worked with a man diagnosed with Alzheimer's and his care partner, aka his wife. If you won't believe me on some of this stuff, believe Dave.
What I found when I was a pastor was I'd take my guitar into nursing homes and I'd start playing old hymns that they grew up with. And they just kind of...
The dementia unit woke up.
The dementia unit woke up and they sang along. Well, right.
In this video, Dave recalls a moment in his past where he played music at a nursing home and the dementia patients were awakened by the music and remembered the lyrics. And now his own journey with Alzheimer's is marked by this same heightened musical experience. Now, before we get into some literature review, I want to provide some background information on memory and on Alzheimer's disease. Earlier, I threw around the term autobiographical memory without a definition. In essence, it is pretty straightforward. Autobiographical memories conjure up an individual's own biography, including their broad overall life experiences and even vivid memories of specific events. Most psychologists and neuroscientists understand autobiographical memory as consisting of semantic memory, which is general knowledge, and episodic memory, which is past experiences in the context. Now, Alzheimer's disease is a neurodegenerative disorder characterized by a progressive decline in cognitive function, most notably memory loss. The type of memory loss most associated with Alzheimer's is episodic memory, which, as we just discussed, is part of autobiographical memory. In the brain of a person with Alzheimer's, there are abnormal gatherings of proteins called plaques and tangles in the neurons, which prohibit cell generation and function and block areas of the brain with communicating with one another. The image on the right visualizes these differences in the brain and neurons. Specifically, the areas of the brain most affected in Alzheimer's are the hippocampus and amygdala, which are some of the core areas for memory, learning, and emotion. This slide shows the results of a recent study that mapped the chronological progression of brain atrophy in Alzheimer's. You can see that the hippocampus and amygdala are much more severely affected than the other regions and earlier. Now we can move on to a discussion of findings from recent research studies that deal with autobiographical memory, musical memory, and the positive effects that music therapeutic treatments have on memory in Alzheimer's disease. Intertwined in this discussion will be clips from our group sessions that further support these findings. Although studies have shown that even unfamiliar music can evoke music-evoked autobiographical memories, it is sort of implied that in most cases, musical memory would have to be the first step in evoking memes. If that is true, then what does that say about musical memory in people with Alzheimer's disease? Why did the people in the dementia unit wake up and start singing along when they heard the music if they have severely impaired memory? Well, numerous experiments have found that musical memory is spared in Alzheimer's disease. Neuroimaging data suggests that musical memory relies on parts of the brain that are less impacted by Alzheimer's. These two areas involved in the neural encoding of long-known music and in preferred music involve the anterior cingulate cortex and the pre-supplementary motor area. If we go back to the diagram, the pre-supplementary motor area isn't even on this list because it's not one of the main areas affected. And then the anterior cingulate cortex is near the bottom, the fifth from the bottom. Additionally, when presented with preferred music, one study found widespread increases in functional connectivity between neural networks, allowing for better communication in the brain despite the damaged neurons. One study even found that Alzheimer's patients were better at recognizing familiar melodies than the average person during a discrimination test. So if individuals with Alzheimer's disease have their musical memory conserved, that also means that they may be able to access music-evoked autobiographical memories, memes. And studies have shown that they do. Despite severe deficits in episodic memory, music is able to evoke autobiographical memories. In several experiments, music has been compared to other stimuli to see if it is the best memory evoker. And every time that has been the case, more than photos and more than anything used in usual care. And their memes on average were more positive and vivid than the healthy controls. But why? One speculation is just because the other types of memory are so scarce that musical memory rises to the top. Secondly, music may evoke emotions that then attach onto memories with those same emotions, called mood congruency. And lastly, music increases dopamine, and increased dopamine has been consistently associated with improvements in memory performance. Here's a clip from a session where memory is evoked through a familiar and loved song for Dave. Every time we said we were listening to a Pearl Jam song, he would perk up and say, "I love Pearl Jam."
I was just so absorbed in the music. I think I was lucky I took a breath.
Yeah, some music is so good like that.
Our kids really were high school and college during the 90s. And so Pearl Jam and Collective Soul and that whole gang of grunge guys and gals. So we were really lucky with the music we got.
Now let's get more practical. What are the best ways to reap the benefits of music-based intervention? What you just saw was listening. The overwhelming consensus is that music should be chosen by the person with Alzheimer's. In this way, the music will be familiar and also well-liked, as both of these factors lead to a better memory experience. The music can be unfamiliar, though, but it should be chosen strategically, either by an artist that the individual likes or of the same genre. Secondly, there should be repetition. If a particular song evokes a memory that is positive and meaningful, that song should continue to be brought back and listened to. There are three main ways that music can be used: singing, listening, and playing. Not many studies have looked at the differences in each of these methods, but one study did find that singing was more likely to evoke memories, while listening improved quality of life. So for retrieving autobiographical memories, it seems like participation is key, even though only a small fraction of the studies employed this strategy. And lastly, the effects are most readily seen long-term in those that participated in music making daily. Overall, these studies found several benefits to incorporating music listening, singing, and playing into the treatment plan for individuals with Alzheimer's. The benefits of experiencing music-evoked autobiographical memories include enhanced quality of life, reduced anxiety and depression, improving relationships, protect cognition, enhance autobiographical recall, and verbal fluency. Thus, music, in evoking autobiographical memories, becomes a beacon of remembrance, a source of awe for those who feel trapped in their diagnosis. You can see how vivid these memories sometimes are with this clip from a session. Our group member Diana played a beautiful piano piece, and it conjured up an important memory for him.
The baccalaureate talk for the high school one year, and Adele played the piano. She was the music lady, and she just got in there, and she might have an inch on you. That's all. She's just like you, and just in so many ways, a lot of ways, and that's a huge compliment to both of you. And she just wailed on that thing. It was she played some kind of piece that was just profoundly powerful. And so I said, well, would you teach our kids to play piano? And she came up, and we bought an old upright piano for not much money. And she came up and gave our kids piano lessons.
In concluding this talk, I would like to discuss a few hypotheses that consider global effects that music may have on the brain in Alzheimer's disease and suggest future research avenues. I hinted at this idea in the last section, but further research is definitely needed to understand what methods of musical application are the most effective, and especially look at those with Alzheimer's disease that have had musical training, like Dave, to see if musical performance evokes memes more than the other methods in this population. Speaking of performance, here's a funny video where our whole group is participating and singing a song that Dave wrote for his kids when they were little. You can really see the engagement from him, and he often said that when we played the song together, we reminded him of his kids. And you can tell that the social aspect is also very positive here for him, both with us students and with his wife.
One more time. Sorry. And everybody looked at me and I was like, I'm enjoying here.
Secondly, many studies hinted at the possibilities of neurogenesis when music is involved in the treatment plan of individuals with Alzheimer's disease. If music can evoke autobiographical memories, can it also evoke further memories through association? For example, if hearing the song Ode to Joy reminds the person of taking piano lessons, maybe remembering piano lessons reminds them of something else, and so on. Then at this point, it's not really music evoked. It's evoked by the memory before. It's true association. Another study asks, could engagement in tasks that activate the preserved brain areas of Alzheimer's disease patients help to maintain not only the functions of those regions, but also other regions? In short, music creates better functional connectivity, which leads to brain synchronization. So could it also stimulate and improve the areas of the brain that are at a deficit? If so, that would be revolutionary. Although this is anecdotal evidence, ever since Dave's diagnosis, he said he has played music every day. He was diagnosed with Alzheimer's in fall of 2020 and noted that at his 2-year checkup, there was no further brain degeneration. While I can't chalk that up to music, in playing music specifically. I know you can all see the joy that is on his face during musical listening and performing. Truly, for him, music is a beacon of remembrance, a social connection, and a way of bringing meaning into his life. I hope that others who know people with dementia or Alzheimer's disease can implement some of these things to help their loved one, to help their patient have a better quality of life. And here's my selected bibliography.